Today we're making vodka sauce chicken parmy sandwiches. Everyone has a different name for this, so it's a little bit controversial, but in the States it's called a parm. Then in Australia we've got two different names for it. In South Australia where I am, it's called a chicken parmy, and then in Melbourne as well, you call it a chicken parma. But today I'm calling it a chicken parmy, and this is my version of one of my favorite sandwiches. Laid out in front of me are all of the ingredients that we need. So what we've got here is one brown or yellow onion. Just slice off the tip, slice it in half, peel it, and then dice it into small to medium sized pieces. We then need 3 cloves of garlic. Just push them down with the side of a knife to crush, blade facing down so you don't cut yourself, and then just roughly chop into small pieces. Can also grate it if you wanted to. I've also got some mozzarella cheese here. I'm just going to make thin slices the whole way across. The amount is completely up to you of how much cheese you like, and you can use some store-bought packet cheese as well if you like that, but I'm using some fresh mozzarella for this one. In regards to chicken, I'm using 2 chicken breasts. We're going to slice them horizontally with a sharp knife to open them up like a butterfly, hence the name being called butterfly. Slice them straight through the middle to create 2 even-sized fillets. You don't have to bash them out or tenderize them for this one, but you're more than welcome to do that if you like to do it. Last but not least, for the prep, you need a baguette or white loaf or any bread of your choice. I'm using a white loaf baguette for this one. Slice as many pieces as you want, however many you want this to serve. This recipe does serve 4, so I do recommend using 4 pieces of bread. The remaining ingredients are some plain flour, panko breadcrumbs, tomato paste, chili flakes, butter, dried oregano, dried basil, as well as some cream, oil, salt and pepper. Now for the vodka sauce, place a large pan over a medium-high heat, add in 2 tablespoons or 28 grams of unsalted butter, allowing it to start melting, then add in the onions, a pinch of salt and cracked black pepper, 10 cracks worth. This can then be cooked for about 3 minutes. What we're doing here is sweating it off, so that means cooking without colour. All we need to do is move this around regularly, that way it won't brown off, but the onions will still become transparent. Once you have that done, we can get the garlic in there. Continue sweating this off for a further 1 minute. We don't want to burn the garlic here because you will need to start again. It creates a really bitter taste that no one enjoys. Add in 100 grams or 3.5 ounces of tomato paste, along with a pinch of chilies. I recommend starting off with a small amount, roughly 1 teaspoon's worth, and adjust if necessary. Don't even have to add it if you don't like chili. We're going to continue cooking this for a further 3 minutes until that tomato paste has started to gain a little bit of colour and release its fragrance. Next to go in is just a splash of vodka. I recommend using only 2.5 tablespoons here, but I went a little bit overboard and ended up using about a third of a cup. What we're going to do is mix this around, continue cooking it for about 1 minute just to deglaze the pan, picking up any stuck flavours. Adding 3/4 of a cup or 180 milliliters of thickened cream, also known as heavy cream or whipping cream. Season to taste with salt and cracked black pepper, 20 cracks worth. And definitely don't drop your peppermint on the bench because it goes everywhere. Once you have all of that in, give it a really good mix through for those flavours to become friends. Bring it up to a simmer, then reduce the heat to low and cook this for about 6 minutes until the sauce has thickened. Then we can remove this from the stovetop and set it aside for the time being. Moving on, crack 2 whole eggs into a mixing bowl. This is going to be used to crumb our chicken. Mix it around with a fork, just breaking it up, making sure it's combined, and this can be popped aside. Then into 2 separate trays or bowls, add in 3/4 of a cup of plain all-purpose flour and 1.5 cups of panko breadcrumbs. Season it up with 1 teaspoon of dried oregano, 1 teaspoon of dried basil, as well as salt and ground black pepper. Then just mix it around, making sure everything is combined. When you're ready to cook, I recommend using 1 chicken at a time, but coat it in the flour, making sure that everything's completely covered. Then transfer it into the egg mix, make sure that there's no little air bubbles or any flour that might be hidden in any crevices. Coat it completely in the egg, and again, shake off any excess. Then lastly, add it into the breadcrumb mix, pat it down, make sure everything is completely coated. Then we can place these onto a tray and repeat with any remaining batches. As for the cooking part, place a large pan with high rim over a medium-high heat. Add in enough oil to fill the pan by half. We don't want to overfill this because it will start to bubble and then you will have a problem with oil spilling in your kitchen. Or if you have a deep fryer, that's even better. Once the oil is at about 170 degrees Celsius or 375 degrees Fahrenheit, we can then place in the chicken. I recommend doing this 2 at a time. And we're going to fry these for about 4 to 5 minutes, flipping them around halfway through, just until they're golden all over and of course cooked through and juicy in the center. Once you have that done, transfer them onto a wire rack over a baking tray to drain any excess oil, repeat with any remaining batches, and add over a nice little sprinkle of sea salt flakes for that finishing touch. This next step is completely optional. Place a large pan over a medium-high heat, add in 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter, then we're going to place in our bread. Make sure it's nice and toasted on either side, toast it to your liking. And like I said, this is optional. You can toast these in the oven under the grill or broiler, or even do it in a toaster, or leave them fresh. The choice is all yours. Going back to the chicken, we're going to spoon over some of that vodka sauce on each chicken. I recommend about 2 to 2.5 tablespoons worth of the sauce per chicken. Add over the cheese slices or the packet cheese if you're using that. I recommend about 3 slices of mozzarella if you're using fresh. Then we can place these under the grill or broiler that's set at 180 degrees Celsius or 350 degrees Fahrenheit for roughly 5 minutes, just until that cheese is golden, and of course cooked to your liking. Now another optional thing to do is spread over some sun-dried tomato pesto or basil pesto on that toasted bread. I've got videos on both of these, but you can use store-bought if you want to make it easier for yourself. Spread over the remaining vodka sauce. Just remember that this recipe does serve 4, so spread it accordingly. Next to go on is that cheesy and crispy vodka parmi or parma or parm, however you want to say it. Garnish it with a few basil leaves. You don't have to go out and buy a whole bunch of basil for this, so you don't have to use it if you don't want to. And hit it up with some cracked black pepper. Place on that top bun, push it down a little bit, to then reveal a beautiful vodka parmi sandwich. It looks incredible, it smells amazing, and the next best thing to do is slice it in half to reveal the center, and then you can see that juicy chicken, all of the sauce, the pesto, the basil, and everything in between. And with that all said and done, there is only one thing left to do, and that is of course we can then dig in.